like to call the recess meeting from last week to order tonight. And for invocation here, we will ask Mr. John Simmons to give us invocation.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, gracious Lord, we thank you for all the many blessings you have stored upon us. We thank you for allowing us to be on your earth to get our lives together as you see fit. We thank you for allowing us to come together as a board, as a family. We ask that you bless all our decisions and let it be in the best for our kids here in Robeson County. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
You do have a manila folder in front of you that's a revised agenda. So please make sure you have that one out. There's a couple of items highlighted, I think, in red. Ms. Brenda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Brenda Furby
Thank
is
you.
joining us in that means. Do we have a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
Make such motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Gentry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, information items, the school extension, learning, recovery, and enrichment programs. A lot of names there. First is Dr. Robert Locklear. Okay, Dr. Williamson.
Chairman and board members, thank you for this opportunity to share with you our plan for the implementation of House Bill 82, an act to establish school extension, learning, recovery, and enrichment program to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. The presentation tonight will have three main points: one, instructional focus; two, operational needs; and three, personnel. Once we know the number of students that plan to attend the summer school, we will then finalize our budget and share that with you in our May meeting. So again, we do appreciate the opportunity. The team has really done an outstanding job.
Lowry, Superintendent Williamson, board members. As Dr. Williamson just indicated, the team has worked very thorough on this plan, and we had worked with our principals to get their input and to answer any questions they had. So all their comments, recommendations, you'll see in the plan tonight. So we just want to thank them for being part of this. Dr. Evans is going to come forward and she's going to go over the presentation with you. So please let us know if you have any questions. And we have, like Dr. Williamson said, we have all the experts listed there for you in each department. This will be a chance to clear up any questions you may have.
Good evening. Chairman Lowry, Superintendent Williamson, board members. Pursuant to House Bill 82, each local PSU must submit a plan no later than 30 days prior to the conclusion of the school year. Therefore, we have sent you guys a draft copy of our plan. I sent it to you guys, I believe, on Saturday. Ms. Patty also sent you a hard copy of the drive. Inside that plan, there were several links with our schedules. Also, what we plan to teach during that time. So I hope you guys have been able to preview our plan. What our plans must include is our second slide, if you don't mind, Cole. Next slide. It must include a budget plan, a compensation plan, attendance policy, and records. That's all going to come at a later date. That's what Dr. Williamson was telling you. Our initial plan that we submit does not have to have that. What it does have to have is assurances that we're going to have math instruction in K-8, reading instruction in K-8, science instruction in 3-8, a period of physical activity, an enrichment activity, meal services, social and emotional learning, and transportation. It also says we have to choose either 150 hours or 30 days of instruction. If you will look at everything that we sent you over the weekend, all of those things were attached in links. Our 9-12 plan must include either 150 hours or 30 days of instruction. Go over to the next slide, I'm sorry. And our teachers we have to have instruction in end-of-course subjects, which is biology, math 1, math 3, and English 2, access to modules, and teacher support for credit recovery, and access to an elective course. You'll go to the next slide, please, Cole. Our plan must also incorporate everything that we have been doing in previous years for summer reading camp in grades 1 through 3 to meet the requirements for Read to Achieve. What the PSRC has designed, if you'll flip to the next, is Pre-K-3. We have decided to go, and in 4-8, we have decided to go with something that is 150 hours long. We have decided to go June 14th through 24th, have a week-long break, and then July 6th through 29th. Our students will attend Monday through Thursday, and the student day is 8 o'clock to 3:30. That is for grades pre-K-3 and for students in grades 4 through 8. The teacher day, we're going to give them 30 minutes before students get there and 30 minutes after. In grades 9 through 12, the better benefit for our high school students would be the 30 days of instruction. That way we can incorporate our credit recovery, as well as our English 1, English 2, our English 2, biology, math 1, and math 3, and the elective courses they need. They're going to go with June 7th through 30 and July 6th through 29. Again, the student day and teacher day are the same, but that allows us to have more flexibility in the day for students who have jobs, students who need to do other things during the day. So those students do not have to be on campus for that entire time. So they can come a half a day in the morning, or they can come a half a day in the afternoon. So the high school is different than what we're going to do in K-8, because that is just time for students to make up credits in credit recovery or receive instruction in their EOC courses. Can you please move on? Okay, our pre-K-8 sites are going to be held tentatively at our 2 pre-K sites, our 20 elementary sites, and our non-middle school sites across the district. That is going to depend on our attendance. We may end up having to consolidate. Right now, as of about 5 o'clock, we have about 1,178 students registered. That is just through our social media blitz campaign. We'll talk about that more later. 9-12, we're planning to have it at our 6 high school sites. Our outreach efforts. We're opening this up to every student in the PSRC. We're opening it up to our EC students as well as our AIG students. We're also opening up to our regular ed students. Every student in the PSRC can benefit from this program this summer. However, we are doing special outreach to our students who are considered at risk. We're also including advertising such as for our special activities such as art, music, physical education, and our SEL, which is Stanford Harmony. That is a free program that we're going to incorporate those social and emotional learning activities during our lessons each and every day. You'll go to the next slide, please. Our schools are also individually contacting our parents of eligible students that are at risk. And we also have a district-wide social media campaign that includes a Google registration form. So right now, Dr. Burnett has already put it out on social media one time. We're going to ask him to share it again tomorrow so that parents can go online right now and click a button and register their students. That's how we have the 1,178 students right now that have registered. They've registered online through social media. Parents are also allowed to register their students by paper copy because we're sending paper registrations home. And that way they can turn those paper copies into the teacher and the teacher can put in that information. So there's two different ways to register. These are some examples of the social media flyers that we've used. This is a save the date that we sent out early on. We sent that out, I think, in February and then again in mid-March. This, if you'll see, this is the pre-K 8 registration form that we sent out, and this is the 9-12. And we sent those out one time already, and we're gonna send them out hopefully again tomorrow. Next slide, please. Now, we're gonna talk a little bit about pay. How are we recruiting teachers to teach for 6 weeks during the summer? House Bill 82 includes a couple of bonuses. There is a sign-in bonus of $1,200 for any teacher who has received a past teaching bonus for reading in grades 3, 4, and 5 for mathematics in grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let me repeat that because it's a lot. If you are a teacher and you've received a bonus in reading in grades 3, 4, and 5, or math in grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, and I left the 3 off in this, I'm sorry, then you're eligible, it's just 4, okay, it's just 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, then you're eligible for this bonus of $1,200. You're also eligible for this bonus if you're nationally board certified. So that's, these are just $1,200 bonuses to teach. You're also eligible for a performance bonus of $150 per child. If you're teaching 3rd grade and a child is not proficient and the child becomes proficient while you are teaching them during summer camp. So if little Sandra is not proficient in reading, and Miss Erica is teaching me, and I become proficient during summer camp, then I get a $150 bonus. Or Miss Erica gets a $150 bonus. That's how that works for 3rd grade only. Okay. We have also decided upon, because we were asked to incentivize teaching in the law, and DPI has asked us to incentivize it. We have increased salaries. We decided upon flat rates. That was going to be something, it was just easier to do. And we are comparable across, when we looked at other regions, we are comparable to what they are doing. Several are doing your base rates plus, several are doing plus 20%, several are doing bonuses. This was just easier for our payroll department to do. Site coordinators at $60 per hour, certified teachers. This includes our media, nurses, social workers, counselors, and related EC services are at $50 an hour. Teacher assistants at $30 per hour. Cafeteria managers, $30 per hour. Cafeteria workers at $25 an hour. And bus drivers at $25 per hour. Next slide, please. Our assessments. Our-ready assessments are NCDPI assessments, and it is the suggested assessment that NCDPI has suggested. It's a competency-based assessment that we will give once at the beginning of reading camp and once at the end. And there is also the Read to Achieve assessment in 3rd grade. That will be given at the end of reading camp towards the end, and that will allow students to become proficient. Next slide, please. As always, the public schools of Robeson County are going to follow all guidelines that's outlined in the In This Together Public Schools of Robeson County Reentry Plan. And we all know that that was modeled after the Strong Schools, the North Carolina Healthy Toolkit. So what we're going to be doing is actually stronger than what that toolkit notes. So our plan is stronger than what the NC Toolkit says. So we will still be doing temperature checks. We will still be sanitizing. We will still be doing those things. Next slide. And now I'd like to open the floor for questions.
Mr. Martin?
Sandra, Dr. Sandra, you mentioned 2 or 3 slides back, the site coordinators and the other working staff.
Yes, salaries.
Who's going to pick those in? Is the principal going to pick them? Who's going to pick those in?
Okay, the personnel, Doctor, do you want me to go through that?
If I'm jumping ahead, let me know, that's fine, but I saw it, so I thought I'd ask.
The way that we've discussed doing this is we're gonna look at our EVOS scores, and the law says that you pick the best from there down, and we're gonna pick the best people for the job based upon EVOS.
Principals will have input.
The law states that we have to pick the best, teachers for the job,
That again?
and the principals will have input.
Okay.
Mr. Craig,
Dr. Manuel?
I've looked at it and looked at a couple more. This is comprehensive. It addresses the needs. I just am concerned that hopefully that all children will come that need to come, and those that do not need to come, maybe there's a place for them as well. The AIG children, and especially high school, I'm not sure what the high school numbers are because, Miss Sandra stated the elementary schools, but I just hope that they get an opportunity. We do some strong recruiting in high schools because it would be a shame to have all these monies and resources and all these programs to address all the needs, and then we have little or no high school participation because you're not worried, or any of us are worried about K. You already have your numbers and you will get more numbers.
Dr. Manuel, to address your question, the high school principals are busy recruiting students now, especially the seniors that are in danger of not graduating. So they're recruiting those, I know right now. So they're talking. The seniors are not going to apply in a social media blitz like our juniors. They're not going to apply like our K-8 students will. Our high school principals are really working hard to get those students to apply. It's going to take the high school principals to get that out there, and they're working hard to get that done. We've had several meetings with them.
The only technical, may I do a follow-up?
Yes, go ahead.
The only technical problem I see with the national board, and this has happened, you probably going to have some national board, hopefully you don't. What happens if you have a national board teacher that their EVOS bottom out? See those are things that personnel will have to decide how they want to address, I guess.
We don't have to hire somebody just because they are nationally board certified. We just have, if they are hired, we have to pay them that stipend.
The only thing that I think any of us would say, because this is an opportunity for those children to make up missed work, get the most qualified, get highly qualified, certified teachers in their areas, and not people just to fill a space. I mean,
That's what we're working to try to do.
I think the plan is comprehensive and it meets the needs.
Okay, Mr. Gentry and then Mr. Henry.
Craig, Erica had her hand.
Erica Hancock.
I was just going to say, we've started the preliminary work on establishing how many teachers have received a bonus in 2017, 18, 19, and the national board, and we currently have 54 national board teachers, so it's much smaller than I originally thought. And I don't know if any of that 54 have applied. We're sorting through that data.
Just so people know.
Mr. Gentry, he called on you.
Gentry.
Is this a way for students to just simply stay on track, or the students that are already up to date can get ahead?
It is both. The law says that a kindergarten student that attends reading camp cannot be retained, or this program cannot be retained. It also says that a student that attends camp, the principal has to look at their attendance and has to look at that student before they can be retained. So it is a way for them to both stay on track, and it is a way not to necessarily prevent retention, but it does say that a principal has to look at that child before they can decide on promotion or retention at the end of camp.
Okay, Mr. Henry?
EC involved with this, students?
Excuse me?
EC students incorporated into this?
Yes. And we're hiring, and EC teachers have applied to work.
Okay. I also like the student-teacher ratio. I think that's a great asset.
The
in this
student to
program.
teacher ratio is 10 to 1.
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
As far as the high school is concerned, I know it's kind of hard to get the high school students there. How many days are it mandatory that they come before they get it failed, or how we gonna work that out?
The high school principals are working that out with the students, and it just depends. The credit recovery piece, I think they're doing for seniors is like only 2 weeks long. So there are different pieces to that, and that's really up to the principals to decide on that piece. So there's different pieces involved with the high school, and I'm gonna let Mr. Steven Sinclair discuss that.
So-
He's been working with that.
So there's various recruitment efforts that's kind of going through, and the high school principals are flexible with the students as far as the amount of days. We have it broken up into kind of 2 sessions that they're looking at, and those sessions are kind of half days for them. One of the recruitment efforts is for our athletes that are on campus, doing something to make sure that they all stay eligible and on track. A big emphasis for our high school is on that credit recovery, because that's the focus of the program for our high school. And so we're trying to make sure that all of our students, some of them may have slipped behind. We know they've got jobs and their focus was a little off. So we're trying to make sure that they stay on the track, not just the students that are supposed to graduate this year, but our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors stay on the track to graduate on time. So with that part, it's a lot of effort being made to be flexible, work with them. If you have something going on this week, you can come the next week. And that's why we kind of did that program based on 30 days versus the 150 hours. So that way, if they need to come and they need to be there that day for 2 hours, they could come, still get their instruction, and then be able to.
Okay. Mr. Simmons?
Okay, say if they got a job and they come half a day and they missed up half, can they go online and make it up to work, or?
So with that credit, so with the credit recovery, part of the law is that we have the days, but we also give them access to modules. So that part will not go away as far as them having access to the online work. With our credit recovery and with the things that they are doing, our teachers are gonna have to design those courses still in Canvas for them to still operate out of. So all of those assignments will still be submitted online to that part. So if they can't be in attendance, they've communicated that with the principal for whatever reason, then the principal is gonna be flexible with them and just making sure that they get their work completed.
One comment about high school.
Dr. Manning?
It would be nice for those students who are ahead and they're taking additional classes in the summer online, you know, like our PSRC online classes or the virtual classes with the state. If we had a lab during the day that they could go in and receive assistance, if that could be incorporated in to the high school programs, that's for the children who advance and trying to get ahead too.
And so that's something that we'll make sure that when we talk to the next high school principals meeting, that we create that space for those students that are taking online courses to be able to come to the school as well, because they're invited, it's open to everyone. So they can come there and just have that space to come every day and work on their assignments.
Thank you.
That they are participating in virtual school or PSRC online.
I do want to mention that the law does require that this is a face-to-face program. While they will be able to finish some of their work later online, the law does require that they are face-to-face. So that they can come, and if they have to leave early to go to their job and whatnot, they can still finish their work, but they still have to come face-to-face. So it cannot be a totally online summer school. But they still do have to come face-to-face. So we can't say it's a virtual program. They still have to come face-to-face. But we are going to work with some of our students that have to leave early, yes. Like if they have to come for a half a day, that's fine. The program is actually set up for them to come half a day.
Mr. Chairman,
Dr. Manning.
Ms. Sanders,
Yes, ma'am.
it's a really good, based on what I've read, it's a really good program, and based on what I've been studying. What I did not see incorporated was anything concerning maintenance or social workers, unless I overlooked it. Did that bill address that at all?
Yeah.
Yes, we've actually got social workers and counselors for the high school programs, worked in.
Thank you.
No problem.
And so just to clarify, real quick, what Dr. Manuel was asking about was the students that were involved in PSRC online courses, that they can still just have that space at school to come and complete their work and get assistance from teachers that may be there. So if they're completing, a social studies course online, then the social studies teacher there could just kind of assist them and give them that opportunity. So it wasn't about, making sure those students don't get to just, be at home or anything like that, even though that course is offered there. We're just giving them a space and the opportunity to come and get that support.
And I do want to mention that our lab program will also be open this summer, and their courses will also be available this summer as well.
Dr. Evans, I'd like to, I know you mentioned, and I don't remember all the colors for the EVOS as far as testing.
Yes.
And also mentioned that principals will have input and maybe some selection of staff.
Yes.
Keep in mind, and I know y'all will, that I know testing gives you this criteria, this group's up here, but we could have situations with teachers who are good teachers, but based on the way kids might have been grouped or whatever the situation was, their scores might not look that good. And I like the idea in hearing that principals will have some input because they will have some knowledge of the teachers on their staff as far as what that teacher can do.
And that's why we have the principal recommendation in there as well.
And the other thing, since it's been mentioned to me, if you could reemphasize, I know there's money, teachers and custodians and all those different groups. There's not money if you're a 12-month employee. I'm correct? Because they're getting paid their salary. But I'm going to say go back with like some people has approached me about cafeteria workers or bus drivers. There's money in this program. I know you mentioned and everything. They are getting paid. And it's just different parts if it's classified or if they're certified. So there are different monies for different people that they can get paid.
Yes, I do want to mention that our bus drivers are also being paid different rates. Our cafeteria staff are also being paid at a higher rate. They're just not a part of this academic plan, and that's why they are not in this part of the plan right now, but we have made arrangements for that.
You had the salaries there, and I was just having that mentioned again.
Okay.
So they would be aware. Mr. Bobby?
If I may, when it goes back to our EVOS data that we have incorporated for our teachers, when we met with our principals last week, what we've asked them to do is address that exact issue that you just brought up. If there's a teacher that's a phenomenal teacher, but the EVOS, it may say does not meet, there may be a reason that the teacher doesn't meet, then that principal has the right to provide that explanation and kind of, so we can receive their input when just not looking at that one particular piece of data.
Thank you. Anyone else? Miss Melissa?
Yes, I just want to make a few remarks about personnel. First of all, personnel relies heavily on student applications or student participation. So we are highly encouraging our teachers to please encourage the students because we've had a large number of teachers who have interest in the program. They want to help us. They want to help children. And in order for us to employ all of these teachers, we've got to get the children there. So first and foremost, we are just encouraging our teachers to encourage the children because that number is going to determine how many people we can actually employ for the program. Also, we want everyone to know that all public school of Robinson County employees are eligible to apply. There is not any group of people that cannot apply. Everyone is eligible to apply. And as Mr. Bobby just spoke about the data, that's where our process is going to begin, looking at EVOS data. And then again, we're going to talk with our principals. It's going to come to HR. We're going to review that selection, and a final determination will be made as to who's hired. But how many is going to rely on how many students participate. Our goal is to employ the best of the best, the most qualified teachers who can provide the best instruction for our children. We want people to be serious about this process. We know that there's some nice money involved, and we put that there for a reason, because we want people. We want the best teachers to come and work and provide that instruction for our children, because we want to move kids. We want kids to catch up as much as possible in 6 weeks. And as far as teachers, outside of teachers, as far as the TAs, bus drivers, again, that's going to depend on enrollment. So we know that there have been some TAs asking, how many are going to be hired? Well, we don't know until we see how many students, and then we determine the needs of the students. Sites also will be determined once we get enrollment. We would love to be able to say that every school is going to be a site, but until we get those numbers, we don't know. So that's where we need teachers to really encourage the students to apply so that we can get enough students at your school to employ your teachers. Because most teachers, most employees want to work at their school. But if we don't get those numbers up, we're going to have to combine some sites. And Ms. Jones may not get to be at her school that she normally works at. She may have to drive to a different location. But please, please, please encourage the students so that we can have a wonderful and successful program this summer. Thank you.
Just a quick question, Ms. Melissa, Craig. You talk about the numbers. What is the cutoff date? As far as when you say we're done and we can't take no more or whatever, what is that date?
Teacher applications is over and
Yes.
student enrollment registration.
We are stopping our student enrollment on May 7th. However, we are not stopping student enrollment on May 7th.
Right.
If a student wants to apply after May 7th, we're going to take that student. We're using May 7th as our cutoff date in order to look at the numbers to hire teachers. We are trying to use our May 7th date in order to really and truly get numbers for teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Manuel?
You brought up a point. Invariably, you'll have kids that want to come after you start. Have you all decided what to do about that yet?
I'm not going to turn away a child.
But they miss the testing and the pre and the post and all pre.
I'm not
Unless,
going to turn away a child.
okay.
Called up.
All right.
Okay.
We can get them caught up.
Good answer.
Mr. Simmons, then Mr. Terry. Okay, Eric.
A teacher that's a bus driver or a TA or a cafeteria worker, do they get paid extra or how's that gonna work?
Yes.
So because we've had so many people apply, at this time, we're not allowing dual employment during the summer. They have to pick which job they wanted to participate in. We understand that we have TAs during the regular school year that are also drive buses, but they would have to choose which position over the summer, just to ensure everybody got an opportunity to participate. Could I say one more thing about the employment? As part of the legislation, the payment of these summer positions are considered contracted, so to speak. They'll be paid through payroll, but they're not subject to retirement. We want employees to recognize that. So the individual employees are used to 6% of their gross wages being applied to their retirement account, and the district having to match that at 21.68%. We will not have to do that for these summer payments. That is specific in the legislation.
Mr. Terry?
So I have a few questions. Will we have CTE? Is CTE included in this plan? Is there any flexibility for that? Also, it's obvious that, because of the interest, teachers want to participate in this program. And I'm sure it has something to do with maybe the amount of money we're paying and that sort of thing. So I want us to think about maybe in the future, us taking a look at additional ways in which we can compensate teachers. I'd like for us to really think about that. Also, how will the dates that you presented earlier, how will they impact other summer programs? I know there are some other summer programs throughout the county. And in terms of with those other programs, is that pay going to be matched throughout, with this program and others as well? And also,
Terry, can we slow down and answer one question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, your first question. Okay, CTE. CTE is being offered as credit recovery courses at the high school level. So that answers that one. Okay, your answer about the summer matching, aren't all the other programs matching? I know Ms. Cummings is.
IEA, yes.
The only other program that I'm aware of, and please, everybody correct me if I'm wrong, is the Indian Education Summer Camp, and they are matching. The only difference is the YDS employees will be at a $40 rate that's not included here. That's the only difference, but those rates are being matched.
And we are allowing students that are participating in the YDS program to complete their time at the YDS program and then come over to our program. So they'll be able to get the benefit of the YDS program, not the YDS, but the IEA program, and then come over to our program so that they can do both. So we're working together on that.
And also, UNCP and RCC, their camps, we will allow the students to attend their camps and then come back.
And we've talked with several other camps around, and we have developed partnerships so that some students can come to our camp a half a day and then go over to their camp for a half a day. So we've made partnerships with those camps to try to take care of some of those issues. Okay?
Let me get Dr. Bernie, I have back here.
I think you had one.
Got one more, Mr.
I
Turner?
didn't answer.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, I know that the state has some, with like the EOG courses and those courses are gonna be measured, right? Because obviously of the $150 incentive. But for those courses that aren't necessarily EOG testing courses, how will we determine, how will we define success? How are we going to know that this worked for all students?
In K-8, those I-Ready assessments, we're going to measure it with I-Ready, and we're going to have to do state reporting, which I probably should have done a better job telling you guys about. How we're going to measure our success in this program is, in K-8, I have to report on a couple of things. The number of students in attendance that attended each day. Then I also have to look at the K-8 pre and post testing data. So that's when our measure of success is there. In high school, we have to look at the number of credits that students recovered in credit recovery. So that's how we measure success in high school.
Sometimes we, and within these meetings, I've heard the statement that Robeson County is a little different and people can have their own thoughts about that. Do you think that sometimes the ways in which the state, the rulers that they use to measure our students may not always be the best way to show whether or not they're succeeding or growing? Is there alternative ways in which we internally can say that this was successful?
I think there's always alternative ways to measure success. I think the fact that right now, our parents have already enrolled 1,170 kids is a measure of success. I think that in itself is showing that our parents are already, just from a social media post, wanting their children. I think that shows a measure of success. That we've embraced our community, and our community is just wanting better for their children. I think that's a measure of success in itself. So, yeah, I think there's alternative ways to show measures of success in what we're doing and how we do it. So, is measures of success always a test? No. You've got to look at things that our children are doing. This week, I just looked on social media and saw Project Trash Talk and what our children are doing with that. Those are measures of success. The fact that our children have overcome 2 hurricanes and a pandemic in 6 years, that's a measure of success. The fact that our children are resilient, that's a measure of success. So do I think that we need different measures? Yeah, I do. But I don't always think that measuring success in a digital world on computers is the way to show it. And do I think we need some alternatives? Yeah.
And I agree. I don't have any suggestions. I just wanted to throw that out there to see what you thought. So I agree and I appreciate that.
Dr. Williamson?
Bobby, will you talk with us about the testing option for EOCs that the board did approve at the last meeting?
So again, one of the measures that we have for our high school kids, and this is optional, we're still going to talk about it as we get closer to test time and depending upon any current legislation. But we are offering that second opportunity for kids to show that they can be proficient on our EOCs during summer school. Because as we all know, kids could have a bad day, and that's the reason they come up and may not be successful on the test that day. So through remediation and going back and looking at those key standards, we're going to give kids that another opportunity to show that they have mastered the skills and objective in a particular course, but those are only for our 4 EOC courses.
Okay, I had, if I got the order right, I had Dr. Burney, and I think Mr. Randy and Mr. Gentry. So Dr. Burney, let me go with you first.
Yes, sir. In regards of with our EC students, just want you to know that one of the other programs that are held during the summer is our ESY program for our students, our extended school year. And that program can happen during the summer along with those same students who qualify for that program, which is determined at their IEP meetings, can also attend the summer learning program. The only thing is that we would do those on days outside of the summer learning program. So if it begins, and we're looking at those dates, so by beginning the week of June 14th, we might begin the week before. So our students can have an opportunity to be a part of each program, because we had to address those students being a part of the summer learning program along with receiving services from extended school year, and also any other services that we need to do, compensatory, related services, all of that. And so I want to make sure that we know when we say exceptional children, we're looking at students from the top to the bottom, or in regards of more intensive, from high needs to the intensive needs, especially those students that are in the self-contained class are also called extended content students needs. Those students have the opportunity to participate in this program. So all of our students, and we're working closely with CIA to make sure the instruction is being provided, and we're co-teaching, working with our students, and our EC teachers will be providing specially designed instruction to make sure all of that's working together. So this is going to be a great summer working with our students with disabilities.
Mr. Randy.
My question is, and I'm just asking if I heard this right, are you saying that a 12-month employee that stretched their payout for 12 months can't qualify for this?
No,
No,
sir.
no. I want Eric to take that one.
Yeah.
No. When we say 12-month employees, we mean the employees that are obligated to work 12 months out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
I didn't say, because they weren't nothing fair about that, but anyway, because somebody stretched their money out.
And I'll speak on that a little bit later, but nothing will change with those employees if they have elected, the 10-month employees have elected to spread their check over 12 months and they participate in this program, then they'll get 2 checks.
Correct.
They'll get that paid separately, stop of their installment.
I'm good.
Gentry.
Teachers who are approaching retirement are already in the 6 months, what would be the 6-month waiting period before they can fiduciarily return to teaching. That's being waived? Am I understanding that correctly?
We are not, that is a part of the law, but we're not participating. A year or so ago, there was a Senate Bill 399 that also allowed for teachers to retire and come back within 1 month with the district, but there were specific IRS regulations related to penalties that the district or the individual employees may face that still haven't been cleared up now a year later. So collectively, as a district, we elected only to allow retired teachers to come back and work that have met that 6-month rule, because we didn't want to jeopardize anyone's retirement or make them subject to penalties that are yet to be, and also as a district.
And currently, all of our applicants are current employees.
Go ahead, and then I'll ask the question.
Let me ask Dr. Cummings, if you'll talk about the lessons and the lesson design that we're pulling out of already, correct? And then let me ask Dr. Guzman, if you talk about transportation, and Mr. Lockley, if you talk about child nutrition and meals, please.
As they're coming, can I make one comment, Dr. Evans? Especially in the high school level, and I know you have to look at, again, the students and what courses. But now, are we looking, unless we have a problem with this, if a teacher can teach science, we're going to put that teacher in science,
Yes,
not have that teacher teaching out of field.
that's right.
Okay,
The teacher is going to be teaching their content area.
okay, okay.
Yes, sir. Our curriculum for the summer school is going to be focused on those high-impact standards that our students need to be prepared for the next level. Our program will be with Curriculum Associates, which is what we have used for many years in the public schools of Robeson County. They're going to be very detailed, very focused lessons. Everything that the teacher will need will be available for them. We will go through training with the teachers at the beginning before we begin our summer school program. But the lessons are there, the materials are what we have been using all year, but they're going to be very targeted and very focused on those high-impact standards.
So lesson plans are incorporated.
Yes, sir. Everything will be there for the teacher. They won't have to develop their lesson plans. They won't have to go looking for the resources or their materials. Everything will be there for them.
Okay,
Just click a link. That's exactly right.
As far as transportation goes with this, we've been planning for this ever since January. We kind of figured that this was going to be coming down the pipe. And so once it became law, we're enacting some things that are going to impact us. We do have resources to be able to deploy. Buses will run just like they normally do with sanitation as well as with routes. We won't be able to build routes until we get fully the students who are participating. But we are working tomorrow afternoon with DPI to ensure that we create those routes in the quickest and most efficient ways. The only difficult part that we are going to have as far as a department is we have to do our summer transportation, pull in the buses and deal with our maintenance during that time frame. However, we've already developed a plan in which we are going to stagger that. We will not be pulling in buses, and we'll stagger that throughout the summer to ensure that there's no loss of continuity among transportation for any of the programs, whether it's this program, IEA programs, or any other program that's going to be operating during the summer. It's going to be a stretch, but we're ready for that challenge and ready to go ahead and make sure we meet those needs of our students so that they can get the learning that they need.
Good afternoon, Child Nutrition. We will continue our summer feeding program. We will assist the children in the meal service that we're currently doing. Otherwise, I plan to offer curbside this summer for all the sites, allowing the communities to be able to participate in the meal service. Thank you.
Have any questions? Okay,
One point,
Dr. May?
have the training dates, Dr. Cummings.
Yes.
Have those training dates with the curriculum.
June the 9th and 10th. And also, I failed to mention about our science. Our LA and math, but our science will be STEM led. And our science supervisor, Ms. Susan Hendricks, is developing those, but it will be hands-on activities for our science and activities.
okay, Dr. Evans, let me ask, I know it's a lot of information, but with the time frame, do we need approval on this tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we do need approval for them to continue with what they're doing. And let me say, I know this is state law, if I'm not mistaken, but somebody's done a lot of work, so we thank you for that. Do I have a motion to
Sir?
move this to,
I make a motion. Do we need to set aside policy?
yes, first?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I was waiting on her.
Okay,
I make a motion that we set aside policy and approve this summer school program.
move it to action item.
I want to make a motion that we set aside policy to move it to an action item.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Dr. Mannion, second by Mr. Brewer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Mannion now.
All right, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the summer school program as presented tonight.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Mannion, second by Mr. Brewer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, folks. Okay, ESER 1, 2, and 3. Ms. Erica?
Good evening, Chairman Lowry, Superintendent Dr. Williamson, and board members. Oh, it's just one slide. You all should have received at your desk a more flow chart that kind of looks like this, and I'm probably going to go to the screen and kind of elaborate on everything we have. I have to say that I stole this from Alexis Schaus with School Business and created it to include everything that is here for the public schools of Robeson County. So, quick overview, as you're aware, there was the CARES Act that was approved in March of 2020, the CRRSA Act of December of 2020, and the ARP Act that was approved March of 2021. And I tried to show where all the funding comes from in the highlighted, matching with the color coded, so you'll know from CARES Act, we received ESSER 1. This is our allocation, 11.3 million, and its expiration date. Also part of CARES Act was Gear 1, and these are two programs for specialized instructional support and supplemental instructional services that we've already gotten approved that we'll implement within the next school year, both with an expiration date of 2022. Then we go to ESSER 2, which was part of the December legislation that was approved. And our ESSER 2 allocation, as you can see, is $44.6 million. That expires in, that is September of 2023. ARP Act gave us ESSER 3. We are, and that's $99,929,819. 19.9 million of that has to go towards learning loss. So that's not an additional 19. Of that 99, 19 of that, which is 20%, has to go towards learning loss. Also part of CARES Act was the coronavirus relief funds, the 6.7, and I included with this sheet a copy of where we stand with those funds. They expired December 2021. We currently have, I believe, 147,000 if you'll look on that sheet left. And most of that is for where schools are using it for tutoring between now and the end of the year. All of those funds will be spent. None of that will revert. And I just wanted to kind of give this as a quick go to one place to see all of the funding we've received so far. This is our total allocation. And right now we're in the process of building our ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 applications. Those applications are due May the 7th. We have a team that has been assigned to that project. That includes the superintendent, Ms. Freeman, Dr. Carr, Mr. Bobby Locklear, Stephanie Locklear, myself, and Mr. McElwain. Dr. Robert, Dr. Cummings, Mr. Sinclair, Dr. Baldwin, Dr. Connie Locklear, Ms. Melissa Thompson, Ms. Billy Jo Harris, Ms. Karen Brooks Floyd, Mr. Ernie Hammonds, Mr. Everett Teal, Ms. Charlene Locklear, Dr. Savon Moxby, Ms. Nikki Brooks, and Mr. Prater, and Ms. Tammy Maynor, who's a Lumbee Tribe representative. We have meetings scheduled with those groups starting Friday, but we have a very quick turnaround for that May 7th deadline. And now I can, that's very brief, very quick overview, and I can answer any specific questions anybody has at this time related to those ESSER dollars. We are planning on using a combination of ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 to pay for our summer school program. Because again, this is an unfunded mandate. There were no funds received by PSRC from the General Assembly to pay for summer legislation. They have in the law, it actually suggests the use of these ESSER funds, which of course we're going to do. We don't have a budget yet, as Dr. Evans indicated, we're working on that. Some of the preliminary figures just for the staff exceed $10 million. Just for the salaries we're paying and those bonuses. And we'll have a more complete picture of that once May the 7th comes and we get some of that data on the number of kids. Yes, sir.
Ms. Erica, did you say you have a meeting with the group this Friday?
Yes.
So and you have to turn in these plans. So upon beginning meetings of those, then you will be giving us, or the group will be giving us back recommendations on how we will be looking at appropriating this money.
This application, like all of our other funds, is fluid. It is a working document. They have just stressed to us getting this application in by May the 7th to ensure we had access to these funds in this fiscal year. Because, you know, we close out years every year. I'm sure everybody gets tired of me talking about that process, but, so they said May 7th, you have to have it in, but it is fluid and can be amended at any time.
So what time is the meeting? You said you got a meeting Friday, what time?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
What, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
you said some of this stuff was unfunded, but you're talking about $163 million. I mean, you know, I've heard people call about some of that air filtration stuff. Is all that included in here?
That's where we're going right now. So HVAC updates, air quality control, maybe looking at, like we've talked about before,
Water fountains.
touchless water fountains, those kind of things within our schools, seeing how far those funds would take us. And again, focus on the learning loss, close to 20 million of that has to, be included there, maybe looking at academic coaches. It's really a lot of, bigger ideas at this point. Once you start talking about updating HVAC and air quality, that gets, you pretty much have spent ESSER 2 funds, with the age of some of our schools.
So I know the group's mean, but how will y'all address, you know, I've had 2 or 3 calls. I'm so sure some of the other board members have too. So how will you take bids on some of this air filtration stuff?
Federal money, so we're gonna have to start with a request for proposal for an engineer. That'll be the first part. Once that's completed, then we'll look to that engineer to complete all those processes for us. It'll be formal bids, advertisement in the newspaper, probably advertising on our website, and or on the IPS website, which is the state's area where we can post job availability. But yes,
The engineer
one of those
would
projects.
be like the site manager, so to speak. Is that what you're saying?
Sir,
The engineer, would he be like the site manager or program manager or something?
yes. But everything would have to be bid, anything exceeding $250,000, which all of these projects would have to be formally bid.
Dr. Williams?
We will also take a look at our 5-year facility plan that extends out to 10 years, because in that plan is a priority list in terms of what we need. So that would help guide us also.
And I will say, when we come up with the COVID about coming back to school, one of the biggest things I heard from people was the air systems, the air quality systems in the schools. So I'm glad we're looking at that, because we know we got older schools, and we know these systems, some of them have a lot of age. So I'm glad we're looking at that, and the touchless part too. Mr. Terry?
Will students still have access to the same level of technology that they have now? Laptops, connectivity for next year?
Yes, sir. We have 12,000 devices on order, and we've been in communication. That may be Mr. Cliff's on the agenda to provide a technology update once I get done with ESSER. It's looking forward how we're going to phase in and make sure we're always on standard with those Chromebooks and Apple products. A2.
Is it possible for us to to start thinking about maybe doing some pre-building some courses for teachers, so far as, you know, and taking some of that development off of them? And this, I'm sure this is something we thought about before, but is there any way that we could get some of our own teachers from here in Robeson County, some of our master level teachers, you know, for this summer, and put them in a room and say, okay, we want you to build Math 1 or English 1, so that when a teacher that's teaching that course, when they log into Canvas, they'll have everything that's based on the curriculum and pacing guide.
If I may, we are working on blueprint courses as we speak with our pacing guide teams. We are on the outline for developing those courses, but that is something that we are working on, and we are hoping to have some of those courses ready to roll out in the fall. But we are working on those blueprint courses with our pacing guide teams.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from Ms. Erica? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Teal, technology update.
Chairman Lowry, Superintendent Dr. Williamson, and fellow board members. I took to bring you guys up to speed where we currently are as far as technology. Mr. Brewer, one of the longer awaited anticipation was getting in these antennas. However, 7% of all this product was coming in from China, so that's where the delay came in. When it came into the ports, they had to sit there for another couple of months due to this tariff thing that's going on. Right now, this first indication you see up here is that St. Paul's Middle School. Keep going, Cole. Earlier today, we flew the drones up, try to get a topographical aerial view on how we're gonna play this thing out as far as the antenna. Right here, this location is where the antenna sit at. We'll come back at a later date and do a heat map and see how far out we can actually push this antenna signal right now. Our ultimate goal is gonna be between 1.5 to 2 miles. Right now, we're actually stretching out 3/4 of a mile. Where the issue comes in at, you got all the mom and pop houses locations next to us or actually operate on the same channel. So what we gotta do is go out there and try to, maybe I should be saying this, is beat them down and take supremacy over what they're doing, so that way we can get people connected. As again, you can see some more antennas right here at this location. Keep going. This over here is at St. Paul's High School. Keep going. Right now, if you look at information, in this corner right here is what the antenna is. In the foreground here is again the St. Paul's Middle. So we got some overlapping signals. So with that being said, it should increase our signal strength. Keep going. Right now we're at St. Paul's Elementary, again. Over here by the gym, again. Again, once we try to do this heat map, we should be able to spin this thing all the way around. Right now, that heat map got us out at 3/4 of a mile, again. Our goal is try to reach all these people in that vicinity. Keep going. You can see right now from out here at St. Paul's Elementary, up in this corner right here, at St. Paul's High School and St. Paul's Middle, so that's a viable option, a viable distance for us to try to reach to get more overlapping signal. Keep moving. As you can see, the density of things we're gonna be fighting against out here, we dare not try to come back in this area with all those solar panels because they all create their own RF frequency or magnetic field that we can't penetrate. Keep going. Again, we got other areas that we're gonna try to reach out to. Right now, we're in phase 1. Phase 2 is actually take a church or somewhere else got a high elevation that we can actually latch on to put our services in those locations. Keep going. Now, with that being said, our average distance right now is 3/4 of a mile. Right now, this is a mapping of St. Paul's Elementary. We try to find the highest points possible, which is right here on both sides of the gym. We might go out to a place like Rex Renner and put it on the chimney out there. However, we have to get access to it or use available cranes to get there. Also, with this area, we're trying to reach houses in dense wooded population, apartments over here, trailers, other residential area. But one thing people gotta bear in mind, people putting metal roofs on their homes and mobile units, that signal will fight like crazy to try to get down through there. So that kind of, again, impede our process. So right now we got all of St. Paul's knocked out, parked in Rex Rennet, all the Red Springs. Right now we just moved into Piney Grove and Magnolia area, and we'll be moving on further into the Lumberton area. Like I said, once we get those initial installation in, we'll come back in and start reaching out to the neighboring areas like fire department, business of interest to partner up to try to put other antennas. Therefore, if I'm right here at St. Paul's Elementary, there's a fire department a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, we can link in to them. So that way we can throw that signal another 2 miles, if not 1.5 miles on further out to increase our level of coverage. But one thing people got to bear in mind, if this house get connected to the Public Schools of Robertson County network, it's still gonna function and look like the Public Schools of Robertson County. So any additional website they wanna go to, forget it, Netflix, all that other stuff, it's still gonna function internally as well as same externally. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Do we still have the promised help from Verizon, AT&T, and some of the other vendors to put up towers to help us out?
Well, right now, that's been a struggle because right now they have to get right away on certain people's land and property. And right now, if Joe A says, let me put it here, Joe B want to own his property. So that's a fight between them and the county commission. We should have had an abundance of antennas over there over the period of the last couple of years, but it's been a fight internally where it's gonna go. To date, AT&T has put up 7 towers, Verizon 4, and right now I think CenturyLink is getting into the game up there around the St. Paul's area.
Mr. Henry?
Mr. Till, will you, and I may be getting ahead of you, but will you speak briefly too on the fact that we can take and go to that level that you said that extension stops and we can add additional extenders to reach on further in the future?
Yes, sir.
And that could, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we get to a certain point, we may not need the hotspots.
That is correct, because then the area gets so saturated because we got home devices that's gonna actually weaken that signal. So we don't want to kill anybody out, but if we start boosting the radius on this stuff, that's probably what's gonna happen. They're gonna know it came from the public schools of Rockland County because they're gonna see it feeding all through their houses.
How much money is roughly would that save us in hotspot expenses for, the 10 or 12 months that we use them?
For the 4,600 that we got in, it was close to about $480,000 we paid for those hotspots.
And this,
Don't own them.
and this original monies came from Mountaineer Farms, the $30,000 donation. I don't know if we have any other funds associated with
That
it.
was it solely, other than the state of North Carolina and the Smithfield Foundation.
And I would like to say too, Mr. Speaker, that, we originally asked for the monies for computers. And Mr. Till had asked me, to go back and ask, could we rearrange that 30,000 to incorporate the antennas instead of the computers, because we had different agencies giving us more computer monies. So they agreed to that. So they're aware that this is what's taking place with that money.
Mr. Mike?
Mr. Everett, I was just gonna ask you, talk about tying into churches and other facilities with high spots. Why not, most of these towns have a water tank? Couldn't you tie into the water tank? The big water tanks in the towns?
Provided they got internet services, all predicated on them having internet services.
Just about everyone I've seen's got it, looks like to me. I mean, they all got towers or antennas stuck up around them or something.
But the main key is for them to have internet services, so that way we can tie our subnet into their network to provide that service. If they have it, it's a viable option.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Till.
Well, sir, I think the next item on the list, Mr. Erica keyed in on a while ago, was the Chromebooks. They're officially in to our manufacturer up in Minnesota, Tavera. Once they tag them, bag them, then we'll come up together as the district technology assessment team, associated with the cabinet superintendent, how they want those devices to be dispersed.
And that number's around 12,000 we got.
1,182.
Mr. Gentry?
Is there any, update on the bring your own technology issue?
Right now,
Is that still gonna stand, or is that
right now, sir, we've been in great conversation with that. You know, myself personally, I'm against it for the simple fact is that if you bring your device into the public schools of Roberts County, and there's something wrong with it, the moment I touch it, I own that device, because therefore, moving forward, anything goes wrong with it, the first thing you'll say, Mr. Shields from the technology department ruined my device. So with that being said, we have to make necessary changes for you to get to certain services. And a lot of people don't want that to happen, because then we'll put all kind of restrictions on your laptop. So when you leave us and go back home, those restrictions are still on that device. Some people don't want to touch that.
I agree.
Any other comments?
The last item, we're actually currently taking bids for renovation, so that way we won't be sitting up here in the heat and everybody from home can hear. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe about mid-May, we should have those bids in. I can present them to Ms. Erica, and then thus forth, present them to the cabinet and Dr. Williams for reviewing.
Well, I have a question.
Dr. Mannion?
Does that include acoustics where you can hear?
Yes, ma'am. We're actually trying to duplicate some of the fashion we had down at the old boardroom, but a whole lot better, because a lot of that technology down there is obsolete now. So a lot of that stuff is touchless, pretty much, to a certain degree. To the point where if I'm absent or someone from the technology department is absent, any of you can work that system without us being present.
Especially people speaking, that they could have a microphone.
Yes, ma'am. It'll be individual mic, because one of the hot issues right now is hot mic. People don't know if it's on or not. You'll know if that thing is on or not, so that way you can speak freely.
I mean, from the podium and, you know, chair, they amplify a microphone when they speak.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Okay,
Good job.
thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Erica?
Good evening again. I included in the packet that went out Friday a copy of the audit contract, and that's a formality in the management letter every year, and that gives S. Preston Douglas and Associates, who is our auditors, auditing firm, the ability to begin their compliance work on the current school year in the 2021 school year. We're asking for that.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith to approve, second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Ms. Erica, the 12-month installment.
So as we briefly touched on at a previous meeting, the Department of Public Instruction is no longer supporting the 12-month installment option for our 10-month employees. So they are ending that due to business modernization is how they've explained it to us. So they're trying to streamline all the financial services, types of software that different districts use. And so this particular program conflicts with a lot of that. Everything will stay the same over this summer. So all this year, employees who have elected to use that option, we've been taking funds from them every month. They'll continue to get that check in June and July. Nothing will change. They come back in August or sometime over the summer. What we're recommending that they do is work with their financial institution to develop a summer cash option. And I have detailed in the packet that I included at your desk, or Ms. Patty included for me at your desk, that shows a breakdown of all of our employees. We have 1,647 employees that currently use the 12-month installment option. Of that, a little over 1,100 used a credit union, so that is almost 67% of those employees used a credit union as their banking institution. I've included all of the others. The next in line is BB&T and Wells Fargo. What we're suggesting at this point is that employees work with their individual bank and set up that summer cash option. If their bank does not have a summer cash option, all employees of the schools of Robeson County are eligible to open a credit union account just for that purpose, if that's all they want to use the credit union for, or they can work with their bank to see what other options are available. But beginning in August, they will receive their 10-month gross salary from August through May, and there will not be any other checks to those employees unless they've set up this option for them in the future. Some of the changes to the traditional program, typically you had to be employed on the first day of school in order to be eligible for the one that's in place now. That's not the case anymore. Regardless of when you start, you can go to your bank and set it up to where you decide on what the amount is and how long you want that deducted from your check to make you comfortable in your financial decisions for the summer months. Any staff, an 11-month staff, cafeteria employees, anybody can use summer cash at the bank. They were not able to participate in the traditional installments that we have in place now. And I put the caveat in there, Public Schools of Robeson County is not endorsing the credit union. We just are saying the credit union because almost 70% of our employees use that bank already, and we know they have an established summer cash option. I'll be sharing this with employees if it's approved tonight. I've shared it with Ms. Bruce, and I'm planning a Zoom webinar through RAE and NCAE where I can be available to answer any questions that our employees may have. It details where they can find, if they want to know how much is coming out of their check presently, I will include that to show them where they can find that on their check, and other information on how to set that up.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith to approve, second by Mr. Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved.
I did want to mention one more
Good.
thing.
Ms. Erica?
Some of the employees had questions about their summer deduction. Again, as I stated, everything will stay the same over this summer. We won't have to change those deductions until December or February into next year. I'll include that in all the information I send out to the staff. Thank you.
We need to move.
Thank you.
Action item.
It is action. It's action on, it's action. Okay, anything? Okay, Mr. Randy?
I move that the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robinson County go into closed session for the purpose of discussing certified and classified personnel, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.1A1 and 6, and to consult with the attorney retained by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the Board of Education of the Public Schools of Robinson County, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1 and 3.
Have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll take a recess, go into a Okay, can we have a motion to come out of closed session?
Make such motion.
Second.
And a motion by Mr. Brewer to come out, a second by Mr. Vontae. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
They have a motion for approval of certified and classified personnel.
I make such motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Vontae. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that was all the business there. And just to comment, the public comments, I know we had some last week. They are posted or will be posted on the website if anyone likes to look at those. And one reminder, folks, again, please check. And so when we come back and meet with the May meeting, please be able to let me know which graduation you plan to attend. So if we have to make adjustments, we'll look at that. So we do have all high school graduations covered. Any questions?
Conference Thursday. The conference Thursday online.
Conference, some of you signed up for a conference that's virtual, this Thursday and Friday. It's just Thursday and Friday?
Thursday and Friday.
Friday that morning, I think, to about 9 to 12. And also, Mr. Simmons, St. Paul's is playing where and what this Friday?
Little Washington.
Little Washington, and this is for the
Regional Championship.
regional championship. So if they win that, they'll be going to the state finals. Is that correct?
Yes.
And where's the game at?
Little Washington.
Little Washington, East Coast. Okay? Mr. Gentry?
Mr. Craig, I think Ms. Karen, I'm assuming you're the one who put this here in front of me about the policy committee? Okay, thank you. And I haven't discussed this. She asked me when I would like for the policy committee to meet next, and I'm just going to propose a date, and that's Tuesday, May the 4th. Does that work for you, Ms. Karen? Okay. But we'll go ahead and make that the announcement then.
And now, Mr. Gentry, let me add now, we will need to have Mr. Cole to be able to be here to set this up so it can be viewed. So if it's done in the daytime or if it's done, whenever, we have to have him available where he can come too. So that part's going to have to be coordinated also.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, don't they have some tests the 3rd and 4th of next month?
I'm not sure the testing dates, Ms. Furby.
3rd and 4th, I heard at Roosevelt last night on a meeting.
That brings up another question, Mr. Chairman. Are we within the policy, the window in terms of announcing the meeting?
48 hours.
You are.
Notice.
If it's next Tuesday, you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what time is
10 o'clock?
we have another meeting on May?
All right.
About 1.
1 o'clock.
Will 1 o'clock work?
Maybe 2 would be better.
What time?
2?
2's fine. I'm good.
Mr. Chairman, we also need to have a finance committee meeting. We have to have our report to the county commissioners by May the 15th. I was trying to see my calendar, but for some reason it's disappeared. What day would be good for you, Erica? I mean,
You let me know.
Board meets the 11th.
well, maybe it's 11th. What's that Thursday before the 11th?
The Thursday is the 6th.
Can we meet the 6th then? Can we meet the 6th?
We can meet the 6th unless, St. Paul's is in the championship, because I believe they start playing on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, well, I want to go myself. Well, what if we meet, well, we could meet, what if we meet the 4th, Tuesday?
Okay.
Be at night. Yours will be at night anyway.
Yeah, we'll be at 6 o'clock.
Six. Okay. So let me go back. Mr. Gentry, you're saying May the 4th for policy at 2 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that would be at 2 o'clock on May the 4th for policy. And Mr. Mike, you saying May the 6th, I'm sorry, May the 4th also at 6 o'clock that night?
Yes, sir. If that's good with Erica and the rest of the committee members.
That's finance.
Right now, that's finance. If there's any, I know we need to clarify for the budget and that little wish list we usually always have.
Yes, and I'll email that out to everyone. I'll try to do that,
by this Friday, so everyone will have that to look over what we've done in the past, and, so we can start those conversations.
But if there's any other items that you feel like special or needs to be addressed as far as it relates to finance, let me know, or Erica, or the superintendent, or Craig, or somebody, let them know, so we can talk about those.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I address Mr. Michael.
Yeah.
You remember the list I gave you the other day? I mean, the prior meeting for you to look at for the finance?
Still got it in truck. That was about, custodians?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
For you,
Yeah,
that on your list?
well, we can go ahead and announce that, Mr. Superintendent, if you don't mind, at that meeting. Couple of things. We got a letter from the chief of police from Red Springs about the SROs. Of course, we always ask for the SROs, but he asked for a new SRO at Red Springs, so maybe we can discuss SROs a little bit and have Ms. Karen, I think Karen, you handled that too, don't you, as far as money and all that stuff. We can have an update about the SROs, but custodians, what I'd like to know is that each individual school in the county, I'd like for the principals to share with us how many custodians they have, full-time or part-time, and the square footage. Mr. Ernie can do that, square footage of their facility. I've been here a long time, and we all know that we have some discrepancies about custodians. You know, one school might have 5, and one school might have 3, but we need to make sure the whole county is covered appropriately by who needs to be there.
And I do have that information
do you?
that was done, years back. I'm not sure how updated, Mr. Ernie can look at it.
Yeah.
But that was done, who's the company that does all the work? L&J.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they did that information, so I can
Okay.
share that. I'll share it with the superintendent, and then we can share it with board members, and then Mr. Ernie can testify or, see if it is updated, but that's what we've been going by.
Yeah. Anything else that you feel, like I said, compelled to talk about briefly in a reasonable amount of time?
Erica, there is an allocation formula from the state that allocates custodians in the building. So let's make that comparison also, what DM would allocate versus what we have.
And Ms. Thompson had already done that math, as we were moving forward with consolidation, and we had the exact number based on our allocation. Again, that's district-wide, and as she explained in her presentation then, looking at individual schools, more or less so, but it worked out exactly to the exact number that the state allowed.
As the,
That with you too.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, as the end of last year, it is really not right. The assignments of the custodians as far as based on student population and square footage as of the end of last year. And I mean, Mr. Mike would have something more detailed at the finance meeting that he has maybe.
Yeah, I want to add, Dr. Mann, what I think, ladies, this is what you're referring to. When we got that report the other year, the part that stood out, and I'm going to just throw a figure out, the recommendation was we needed 136 custodians. We had 136, but that didn't take into account where they should be.
That's right.
Had the exact number, but it was like this.
That's what you're saying.
This school, yeah, that's the report we got like 1-2 years ago. That, one school might have 5, but they should only have 3.
Had the amount
Right.
that lot, but again, breaking it down per school.
I
might be-
understand. That's where the discrepancy is, breaking it down.
One other thing I'd like to add is I'd like to go back and put on this, when we talked about consolidation and stuff, I don't want to get anybody riled up, but I'd like to have a list of those schools, Mr. Superintendent, that have 500 or less students, so we can still look at that process and see if we talk about the 15 million, a little bit of money we got, we still, just so we can have a little discussion about it.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Randy to adjourn, a second by Mr. Henry. Those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Good night, everybody.